Kadosh Boker Or, Masechet Nazir Daf Nun Chet Amud Aleph, 58a. We were in the Gemara where we just said that the Tan Rabbi numbers, we wanted to say that Hakafat Kol Rosh is actually a Machloket Tanaim. Remember, Hakafat Kol Rosh means that when you're shaving the entire head, so maybe Behemet, that's going to be a Machloket, whether Behemet it's a Tzur or not. Tan Rabbi numbers, we went to the right hand. Rosho, when it says by the Mitzorah, a leopard that he became cured, it says Rosho. Mata Mulumar wasn't coming to teach you, it's extra. Right? So he says, but it says, Vayav Yom Shvi Yigalach Ekol Searo, Et Rosho, Vet Zekano, Vet Gabot, Ekol Searo Yigalach. It already told you Ekol Searo. So he says, since it says, you're not allowed to come and take the peot, Yachol, I would have thought to say, Af Metzorah Ken, the same halacha would apply to a Metzorah. The Mulumar comes to teach you, Rosho. Tanya Idach, right? And then there was another writer that taught Rosho. Mata Mulumar will come teach you. Since it says by the Nazir, Tar lo yavor Rosho, right? That you cannot come and take off with the tar, right? The hairs. Yacholaf Nazir Metzorah Ken. I would have thought to say that also by Nazir Metzorah it's going to be the same thing. Mulumar Rosho comes teach you Rosho. Malav Tanaihi. Are we not talking about that it's going to be a Machloket Tanaim? So the Mandamar, according to the Mandamar, that it's Nazir, right? Kasav Rakafat Kol Rosh Rosh Ma'akafah. He holds that Hakafat Kol Rosh, taking off all the hair, is not considered Hakafah. Meaning, what does it mean to surround? What is Lo Takifu Pat Rosh? It means that I've got the peot, I cannot take off the hair, I cannot take off the peot, and therefore I leave off, I rounded the head. So he says, according to this Mandamar, he says, if you take off everything, you didn't do a kafah, you just shaved everything, so there's no problem. Chiyat Kras, so when the pasuk comes to say Rosho lemitche, it's coming to push off. Elo ta'aseh v'aseh, the negative commandment and the positive commandment. Tar lo ya'avor and gadel pereh aseh Rosho. The idach, the other Tana holds, hakafat kol rosh is called hakafah. Chiyat Kras, when is the pasuk coming? Lemitche lav greida, just to take away a negative commandment. So it comes out that you see from here, it's a machloket tanaim, whether be'emet, hakafat kol rosh is called hakafah or not. Okay, that's what we're. So says the Gemara, Rava says, no, I don't think that's explanation. I wanted to say that according to everybody, if you take off all the hair, it's not called hakafah. So what does the pasuk come? Gone, for example, what happens if a person came, he did the hakafat rosh, and at the end, right, he did the giluach, which means you're allowed to do the tiglach mitzorah to start with the peot and then to continue. Okay? But he comes and he says, now even though the kafah is in itself a sur, it's still going to be mutar. Because if you're not going to, if you would have taken it in one time, you wouldn't have been chayav. Which means like this. For example, what do we just say here? If you take off the peot, it's a yisur doraita. Lo takifu b'ad roshchem. For a mitzorah, you have to take off everything. That's a mitzvah by the mitzorah. You take off everything. The question is, can you first take off the peot and then take off the rest of the hair? So I would have thought to say, listen, you're not allowed to, because you're doing lo takifu b'ad roshchem, and then you're doing the giluach. Comes Rava and he says, that's why I come to teach you the pasuk that it's mutar. Because if I would have taken everything off at once, it was going to be mutar. So now, even though I'm not doing it at once, and I'm first taking off the pill, and then afterwards, again, we're not talking about afterwards, it's 2 days later. We're talking about, but first I took off the pills, and then you took off everything else, it's still going to be okay.
Why not take off everything?
Says the Gemara, Mi katav krahachi. Does the pasuk actually say this? V'amar Shakish, says Shakish, Kol makom shata motzeh aseh velo ta'aseh. Any place where you find a positive commandment and a negative commandment. If you could be mekayem both of them, positive and the negative, mutav, then it's okay. If not, the positive commandment pushes off the negative commandment. So here too by kafat rosh should be the same thing. Since you could be mekayem the mitzvah of tiglachat without being over on the kafat rosh, right? How do you do that? Baba Haki said, do it at one time. So therefore he comes and he says, so it comes out, right, that you could do shnehem. So then you're not allowed to do that then. If you could do both in one shot, meaning I could be Mekayem, I could fulfill both halachot at the same time. How do you Mekayem? You do everything together. So now, if you could do everything together, who's going to permit you now to first do the peot and then do the head? By you doing the peot, you did Avirah. By you doing that afterwards, now it's kilo, you did Avirah, and now you fixed it by doing the rest. No, do everything together. Because by doing everything together, now it's mutar. So if you could be Mekayem the mitzvah, you have to do it. So says, he says, no, you have to flip it. Really, be'emet, according to everybody, even if you shave off all your head, it's considered lo takif b'ad roshechem. So sometimes you have people here, they come and they go bald. Yeah, they shave everything off. According to this opinion, hakafat kol harosh is called hakafah, meaning the fact that they took everything off, that's not a heter, that now they can take off the peot. Because if you hold hakafat kol harosh is called hakafah, that's called hakafah. They did the takif b'ad roshechem. They took everything. Doesn't matter. Here it is. Lav greda minala. So the one that says Rosho, which is pushing off a lota aseh and aseh. So he says the lota says tar lo yavor Rosho, and the aseh is gader peras Rosho. He says, how do we know that an aseh is dochea lota aseh? Right? How do we know? He says yalif migdilim, meaning how do you know that a positive commandment pushes off a negative commandment? He says, you know where you learn from? Tzitzit. Gdilim taselecha. Why? The Pasuk says, "Lo tilba sha'anez." You're not allowed to put on sha'anez. What is sha'anez? Wool and linen. Tanya, but we did learn. Listen carefully, because it's a positive and a negative. You're not allowed to wear sha'anez. It's a negative.
Yeah.
Tzitzit is a positive. To wear tzitzit,
Yeah.
it's a positive. So he comes and he says, it says, "Lo tilba sha'anez hagedlim ta'aselecha mehem." But you're allowed to make sha'anez out of the tzitzit. Meaning you could have a wool garment and linen tzitziot. That's shatnez. So he says the positive commandment of tzitzit pushes off the negative commandment of shatnez. So from here you see that a positive pushes off a negative. So says the Gemara, uman denafka lemerosho, and the one that holds from rosho, that there's an extra word rosho. Why doesn't he learn it from Gedalim? Meaning you're learning it from rosho, that the positive commandment of the mitzvah to take off of the hair pushes off the negative commandment of taking off the peot. Right? But 1 second, you have it from shatnez, from tzitzit. Why can't you learn from tzitzit? So Malachai is going to tell you like Rava Udata. The Rava because Rava came and he asked a question. It says, Min kenaf tetil techelet. When we learn tzitzit kanaf, we have to learn that the chutet tzitzit, the strings of the tzitzit, have to be from the same species as the knaf itself, the corner of the garment itself. So, and it's written, from the fact that you have smichut of the tzitzit, they have to be dafka from tzemer or pishtim, and not from the beged itself. So how do you do that then? When you say tzemer pishtim yachtav, it says or. You cannot do it together. But now when it says tzitzit kanaf, it means that the tzitzit have to be from the same material as the kanaf, as the corner itself. So how do you do that? He says when it says semen upishtim, right? That means it's going to exempt whether it's a beged that has the same semen upishtim or not. Meaning semen upishtim is special, that it's like universal. So you could use semen, and semen will always come and exempt you, or pishtim, and it will always exempt you. Shar minim, but every other type of a material other than semen upishtim, than wool and linen, the minan potrin, they could only exempt if it's the same species. Shelo b'minan and potrim, if it's not, which means like this. Semer is like the universal lock. It's like a key, which it will open every single lock. That's semer or pishtim. So it doesn't matter what the garment is made out of, right? You could have semer wool tzitziot or linen tzitziot, whatever that you want, right? It doesn't matter. It will exempt you, right, from meaning it will exempt you from the problem of having tzitzit. Okay? However, though, he comes and he says, when we're talking about the entire concept of what? of any other species, only if it's the same species. So, for example, let's say I have a silk tzitzit. Silk. So, if it's semen ufishtin, right? If it's semen ufishtin, either it's semen or pishtin, it works. Because it's semen ufishtin, we just said, ben beminan, ben shelo beminan. Whether it's the same species or not the same species, it's going to help. But if I have a silk tzitzit, right, the only thing I could use is silk. You understood? For the tzitzit. Okay. Meaning that when it's going to be another species, it has to be the same species as the kanaf and the tzitzit. But when it's wool or linen, either or, the wool and linen is always universal. So whether you're going to use a wool, whether you're going to use linen, it's always going to be okay. Okay? So ask the Gemara, the high tana de mapik rosho, the lav greda, the ati yasev latachol yasev yasev minalan. So 1 second, but according to the Mandamer that only says that we learn from rosho, how do you know that when you have a positive commandment, that it's going to push off a negative commandment and a positive commandment? How do you know that? Meaning, until now, we only learned positive pushes negative. But can a positive push off a positive and a negative? Meaning both together? So says the Gemara, Nafkale learns it from Zekano. What do I mean Zekano? The time was learned on the Braita. Zekano, it says that to do with the Mitzorah, that they have to come and they have to take off his Zekan. Matamulomar, what is it coming to teach you? So he says, the fish since it says, maybe if it's a Mitzorah, I would thought that even though there's a Tiglacha by the Mitzorah, he shouldn't take off all the hair. Zekano. So you see from here that the Mitzorah has a mitzvah that it's going to push off even a Kohen to take off his beard. Because the Kohen have an extra mitzvah. Not only are they not allowed to take off their peot, they have a mitzvah of Kedoshim Niyu. And therefore, from this, it's a mitzvah aseh that the Kohanim have to be extra careful. Okay? So he comes and he says, and because of that, it comes out from here, from this concept of Zekano, it's coming to teach you that the positive commandment by the Nazir of taking off by the Mitzorah, which is coming taking off all the hair, is going to push off the positive commandment of Kedoshim Yu and the negative commandment of how do you call this? Of Vad Zekanam Lo Yigalechu. Right? And here we're not talking about anymore the peot. We're talking about the beard. It says Upad Zekanam, the peot of the beard, they're not allowed to take it off. And they have a positive commandment, Kedoshim Yu. You see from here that a positive commandment of the Mitzorah, taking off all his hair, overrides the positive and negative commandment by the Nazir, by a Mitzorah Kohen. So says the Gemara, so the one that learns that Rosho is coming and only teaching you a positive and a negative commandment, why don't you just learn from Zekano? So says the Gemara, and according to your reasoning, that we have a general rule, as usual, right, that it's not going to come a positive commandment and it's going to push off a negative commandment and a positive commandment. You have 58b. Why don't you just learn from the Kohen? But it does push it off. But rather, you cannot learn from a Kohen Mitzorah. Why? The Kohen, right, is not going to be Shaveh Bakol. Nazir mi Kohen nami lo yalif. A Nazir from a Kohen, he's also not going to learn it. Sheken lav she'eno shaveh bakol, because it's a lav she'eno shaveh bakol. Okay? Uman de mukim lehai rosho benazir lama li zekanu. But according to the one, right, that he taught, right, rosho by the Nazir, how do we learn now zekanu? So he needs it for that which we learned in a braita. It says ufat zekanam lo yigalech. Yachol af gilcho b'misparayim yechayav. I would have thought to say that even if he did it with the scissors, he's going to be chayav, right? That means he's going to be chayav malkut, even if he took off the hair by scissors. Tamunomar lo tashchit. Lo tashchit means it has to be like a shchata. So you're taking it out from the shoresh. And if you take a trim with the scissors, you can never get that it's not a shchata. You don't destroy anything, right? Lo tashchit, right? If it's from lo tashchit, yachol liktan, right? I would have thought that you could take it from any other utensil. You're going to be chayav. The Mulomar comes to teach you. What is the only giluach that has destruction? And the Omer is a tan, only with a razor. Meaning, if you use a razor, that is the only thing that it destroys, right? What's the entire lift and cut concept? It becomes like a razor, that you basically take it from the roots. You understand that it's so close that you're destroying. When you come and you take a trim, right, you can still feel something. You feel the stubble, you feel the hair. Here, the razor makes it a clean, right, that you're uprooting from the roots. So that's the difference. So according to the one that learns it from Rosho, that it's a negative commandment, why do I need it to be written Rosho and Zekano? Mashma, right? So therefore, meaning I would have already learned it from it by itself. It's the same thing teaching. The Rosho was coming to teach you about the peot, and Zekano was Pat Zakan. So it's Mashma, the Midche Lav Greda, Mashma the Midche Lo Ta'aseh V'aseh. He says, one second. One of them is coming to teach you that it pushes off a negative commandment, which means the Mitzorah is going to push off the Kafat Rosh. But the second one, which is going to be, right, Zekano, is teaching that it's pushing off a positive and a negative commandment. Hilkach, therefore, Shakulu, doesn't mean Shakul, both of them, the Nazir and the Kohen, are Shkulim. Yavo Shnehem. And it's going to come, and it's going to bring both of them from one pasuk. So why do I need Be'emet, two psukim? It's enough one pasuk. If you already have from Zekano, why do you need now Zekano and Rosho? So says the Gemara, Kohen min Nazir lo yalif. Right, the Kohen from Nazir, you cannot learn it. Sheken yeshno b'she'ela, because you have it in the she'ela to the Chacham, which is Hatarat Nedarim. Meaning, you cannot learn Kohen from Nazir, because a Nazir could come to a rabbi, and he does Hatarat Nedarim for the Nazirut. Nazir mi Kohen lo yalif, so therefore Nazir you cannot learn from a Kohen. Sheken lav sheno shalokol, because a Kohen is not a general rule for everybody. A Kohen is special. So you can learn from a Kohen. Because we could have asked like with this. Therefore, each one you cannot learn from the other one. You cannot learn a Nazir from a Kohen, because a Kohen is not Shaveh Bakol. It's not equal to every normal scenario, because he's a Kohen. A Kohen is a different halacha. And the other way around as well, right? You cannot learn the Kohen from the Nazir, because the Nazir could do Hatarat Nedarim. Fine. Amar Rav. Rav comes now and he says, now that we just spoke about the Giluach HaRosh and the destroying of the Peot and the Zakan and everything, we're going to speak about now other parts of the body. So Amar Rav comes and he says, Mekel Adam kol gufo betar. You're allowed to cut all the hair of the body with a tar. So if a person wanted to remove his pubic hair, or remove the armpit hairs, right, underneath his arms, he's allowed to do it with a tar. Matevei, so the Gemara is going to ask the following question. If a person is going to come and he's going to take off the hair of the pubic hair or the armpits, he's going to get lashes. Why? Because that means he's acting like a woman. Women remove their armpit hairs or the hairs of the pubic hairs. So he says, so you see that if a man does it, he gets lashes. Lo yubash. You don't have to copy women. Habitar, habamisparayim. So the Gemara answers, no, you're right. If you do it with a razor, that's what women do. Right? But if you do it with scissors, it's going to be...
You can take off them. You shave, you don't take out the scissors.
Fine.
You know, some people take off.
Says the Gemara, the Rav Nami B'tar Kaman. One second, but Rav was also talking about tar. He's not talking about now scissors, right? How are you telling me there's a difference between scissors and tar in a razor? He was also talking about a razor. So answers the Gemara, ke'en tar, you're right. When we said tar, it meant even ke'en tar is also going to be the same halacha. So therefore, since it's not the minhag of women, right, to come and to use scissors, that's why you're allowed to use scissors, because women would use a tar or ke'en tar, or something like a tar. Okay? Okay, he gets lashes. So Matevei, they're going to ask the following question. He says, one second. If you're going to take off the hair, it's only in Surah Rabbanan. Why are you going to get lashes mina Torah? Like, what's going on here? So says the Gemara, you're right. What does it mean, loke? Na midekama, midirabanan. It's only lashes midirabanan. Okay?